Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Diane. It's nice to see a number of familiar faces and some new faces. And so I'm excited to be here. And I'm glad we were able to work this out because between travel schedules and Jewish holidays and other things, it was going to be complicated to find time. Today is a special day in a way in the weekly cycle of the Pacific Coast Business Times. We're actually in production on our main newspaper, so I was happy to take a break and talk to such a cool group. I also have a little bit of an upgrade for you because if you subscribe and you're a new subscriber to the Business Times and you put in the code we gave you, which is called Today, you're actually going to get $10 off, not 10% off of the Pacific Coast Business Times. So this is a once-in-a-lifetime offer. I hope you, I hope you take advantage of it. I really have two missions today, and I'm going to break them down into 4 parts. One is to talk a little bit about the Pacific Coast Business Times and the media landscape, particularly in B2B or business to business. And the second is the actual topic, which is how to connect with us. But I think without going through a little bit of our story and how we've evolved to meet the changing demands of the marketplace, the connection points won't make as much sense as they will when I get to them. So bear with me. It won't take that long. There's no PowerPoint. I'm from the East Coast. I eat fast. I talk fast. So it'll all be good. So it is, in fact, true that I started the Pacific Coast Business Times with a lease sub, a checkbook, and a business plan. I had raised some private equity capital in the fall of 1999, basically sold 35% of an idea for somewhat less than $500,000, and I showed up not knowing anybody or very few people on the Central Coast and started publishing a weekly business journal within 6 months of our launch. Our born on date is March 17th. How did a nice Jewish guy from New Jersey wind up starting his publication on St. Patrick's Day? It turns out that Mike Tobes, who went to Princeton, started Montecito Bank and Trust also on March 17th, exactly 25 years before we launched. Our goal was to begin publication at some point during Q1 of 2000. There were 5 Fridays in March, and we hit it right on the nose, right on the 3rd Friday. So in truth, to get there, we actually made a detour over into Ventura and acquired a very small monthly publication called the Business Digest. So for a brief period of time, we actually had offices on Main Street, just up the street here. But as we got into our discipline on weekly publishing, we really wanted to operate from one office, one set of computers, advertising contracts coming into one place, news flowing into one location, so we consolidate everything. And we've been at 14 East Carrillo Street in Santa Barbara now for the entire 15 years of the publication. We lost an incredible amount of money in our first year of publication, but the point of that was to build a market and to build a marketplace, and we really did succeed because when we withdrew our free circulation and went to a paid model, we had about 1,000 people that signed up, and today we're pretty close to 3,000, and we've actually grown by about 30% or 40% in the last 5 years. So, you know, our niche product is pretty sustainable. With your print subscription comes a digital site, a digital license, so you can unlock all that content that's locked down, and that's part of our evolution. But let me go back to 2000. So we developed the discipline of weekly publication. In February of 2001, we launched our first book of lists, which is really a comprehensive, editorially driven business guide to the region. We publish every year with the last issue of the year, so that 2015 edition, which I'd love for you to take and use as much as you can, was published at the end of last year. We're now in the process of developing an entirely new edition for 2016, and that'll be out at the end of this year. It's a great vehicle for those clients if they're on the market, with my marketing hat on, with people who really want some visibility in the market and don't have any marketing budget at all, and that will make it onto our list. I remember having a long conversation with a CPA firm called Vance, Thrift and Biller. They were saying, like, why should we give you the information? And then over the years, they were like very eager to give us the information, because once people saw where they were, the midpoint of the list actually turns out to be one of the better points, because a lot of new clients will look at the top company and figure, oh, they're too expensive, I'll go. Just a little hint. It's also a great vehicle if you have an advertiser that only wants to do one shot, because it's probably the best single shot at B2B publishing that you get during an entire year. Fast forward to September of 2001. We all know what happened on September 11th. That was a hold your breath moment, but actually toward the end of that month, we launched into the events business. And we launched with 40 Under 40. It happened to be that magic day on a Monday after the stock market had been closed for a couple weeks. It had been open, it plunged, and then on that day, it went way up. Everybody was very happy. And 40 Under 40 is still a highly successful event for us. For those of you who look at our webpage, we just had our 15th 40 Under 40 a couple of weeks ago. We moved to the Topa Tower Club. It's amazing. And so weekly print publication comes out every Friday, goes to press on Wednesday, goes in the mail on Thursday. 24 times a year, we produce special reports, the granddaddy or grandma of which is the book of lists. And then there are 8 events. And I really think in the media world that we operate, you've got to have a lot of engagement. I mean, print only won't do it. I think digital only is probably worse, unless you're, I don't know, BuzzFeed or something. And even there, those are huge capital investments for very little in terms of revenue. Mobile is even worse in terms of revenue. So the events piece of what we do is really a powerful way of engaging with a business-to-business audience. We just announced that we're going to launch a new Central Coast Innovation Awards next year in February. It'll replace a Family Business Awards program that we thought had gotten a little tired. And we're going to really jazz this up. We're going to have a startup village, and we're going to have the top startups from the quartet of major universities, Cal Lutheran, CSUCI, UCSB, and Cal Poly in that village. It'll be really fun, and that's a cool program. After that is our biggest program, Top 50 Women in Business. That's been a huge win for us. Our publisher, Linda LeBrock, was really the mastermind behind bringing that into sort of full bloom. Our second event that we ever created was something called the 101-100, more of a C-suite type event. And we always have a Business Hall of Fame induction that's pretty cool. You can imagine all the Hall of Fame members around in the market. We actually launched 2 new events in the same year. I didn't really want to do it, but we had thought about a Latino Business Awards. There was a Gold Coast Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that wasn't getting too much traction. We talked to them. We said, hey, we'd like to do this. They said, take it. Please adopt our baby. So, and we made one phone call to Wells Fargo, and they said, we want you to do an event, we'll sponsor, here's a check. So that became almost our second biggest event, and we've raised so much money through that we are now going to have a Pacific Coast Business Times scholarship at Ventura County Community Foundation. It's a little weird when you're covering a story about a community foundation that has problems and you're thinking, holy crap, what about our sponsorship money? But I think we're going to be just fine, and we'll have a lot of fun giving away those scholarships, let me tell you. And frankly, we would have, whatever happened to the scholarship funds, we would have done the scholarships anyway, but this is really special. We have some good supporters in that. And then we launched the Champions in Healthcare. Yes?
I'm just going to ask, have you ever thought of doing 60, under 60?
We've thought about 80 over 80. We've thought about a lot of different things, but 40 under 40 really is the one, it seems, that captures the marketplace. And for us, it's brilliant because we now have 600 people, 15 times 40, for those who are mathematically challenged. We now have 600 people out there who've arrived in their profession thanks in part to Pacific Coast Business Time. So we're very excited about that. And then Champions Healthcare is more of a niche program, but we have a very loyal following around the healthcare organizations for that program. And then the third event we ever did was Spirit of Small Business. We do that in partnership with the SBA. Interestingly, they have the largest volume of SBA loans in the country comes out of the LA district, which is LA, Ventura, Santa Barbara counties. But our two counties are so vibrant that they can't be number one without us. So they had a problem. They wanted to show the flag in the market. That makes them number one. We had a problem. We had no revenue in July. We still have, and so we looked at each other and kind of fell in love, and and then produced this Spirit of Small Business Awards event, which really helped us. And then 40 under 40, and then our next event coming up October 15th, around the corner at Crowne Plaza, is Fastest Growing Companies. We did 50 this year. I think we're going to do 100 next year. Our top 12 are over 100%, are triple-digit revenue growers, and our top company is a quadruple-digit revenue grower. So we're really excited about Fastest Growing Companies. And as you can see, what's happened is clearly there's been a lot of disruption for daily newspapers. I mean, it's just been difficult. It's been really, really tough. I still have some connection to Denver, and am there often on Sundays and subscribe to the Denver Post. And my neighbor across the street is the daughter of Dick Lamb, who was the governor of Colorado, and he was featured in a big profile last Sunday in the paper. And I ran into Heather and I said, hey, your dad looked pretty good. She said, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I haven't seen it. I just saw it online. And I said, I'll bring you a hard copy. And she was so thankful. So I think for general news, in our world, we think a lot of people like the stickiness of print. You've heard all this before. It has that sort of locally sourced feel to it. It's something you can read at your leisure. It's not like you're getting bombarded with email. It's something you can take apart and study. And we actually don't see a lot of disruption or even decay in our print publishing. What we see is that our customers really want more engagement. They want email sponsorship. They want to be able to combine their print with digital, and we're happy to do that. We love that, or they want to see our events kind of roll out with a little bit more social media and get more visibility, and we love doing that too. I think we're quite good at it. There is a lot of media I think if you look at Ventura County, probably the most sustainable people are us and the Acorn. I think they have a good local market niche. They understand things really well. I wonder about the arts and leisure sector just because there's some very good stuff happening online in that arena. It's not something people will pay for, but if you build enough audience like Pam, I can't remember her last name, but she has a Ventura music scene blog. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she's got a great little blog going, and she's starting to attract some advertising, and that's sort of an interesting thing. It's not going to replace her day job, which I think is working for the city of Ventura, but it's pretty interesting. I'll leave you with a couple other concepts. One thing we did earlier this year, we did a 100th anniversary edition, special edition for one company. It was a corporate history of Giordano's. And what we discovered was that a lot of their vendors were willing to buy ads. we were willing to put in some effort into leveraging our vendors and our supply chain to reduce their cost. And so it was a very affordable way to produce something really special and get a lot of copies. I think there were 12 or 13,000 copies out there, which is big for us. We print 5,000 copies a week. And we're interested in talking to other companies that are at milestones. We'd love to do something for the city of Ventura for their 150th. But we would like that. Cheryl's got something else the mayor, Cheryl Heitman, has something else in mind, but let's talk, because that would be a fun project. And in terms of connection, I think we've covered the first 3 points pretty well. The Saab, unfortunately, had a executive conference with a guardrail on the 101 and was terminated after that meeting. I survived. The business plan and the checkbook are still there. In fact, we're still using the same check. I mean, we've bought more checks, but anyway, some ways to connect with us, and people don't always think of this, but just it's real simple stuff. We have a full-time news team. We have the largest business news team between LA and the Bay Area. So we have a full-time researcher who does nothing but research book of lists. It's really easy to email Chris Officer or send an email over to the newsroom email, newsroom@pacbiztimes.com, and say, I have a company for the book of lists. We'll connect you. Once you get into our system, you can go ahead and update data. You can do it for a client. You can do it yourself. It's really easy to connect. The second is you can always submit through the newsroom email newsmaker items or calendar events. I mean, we just love that stuff. We don't charge for it. It's what we do. The third thing, and this is before even sending a single press release, you can nominate somebody for one of our awards. If you go onto our website, if you don't subscribe to our emails, we have 12,000, 13,000 people who are on our emails. We don't bug you daily. We do a Monday briefing. We do breaking news as needed. And there's a Thursday publishers that usually has the nomination links. And that's a really easy thing to do. And then finally, if you have a client, you really want to get a press release out there, they changed CEO, they got new location, you can always email it to Newsroom, you can email it to me. We have a managing editor, Glenn Rabinowitz, @pacbiztimes.com, and he's very responsive. He's kind of taken over day-to-day news operations for us. For the future, my role has changed a little bit over the last 3-4 months, so I'm now strictly overhead, no longer contributing positively to the company, but seriously, I do still oversee the content side of things. Obviously, as the owner-operator, I have to manage the cash and stuff like that, but increasingly, I'm very involved in our community work and our strategic relationships, because it's my job to be out there at 30,000 feet and looking over the region, seeing what's new and what's exciting and where we need to go. So with that, thank you very much. Happy to answer any questions.
Henry, I enjoy reading the publication. I think you guys do a fine job considering the sheer geographic area that the Pacific Coast Business Times has to cover in 3 counties. That's no small feat. My question is, have you and the rest of the editorial staff talked about potentially adding editorial content that focuses on additional issues? I mean, from my perspective, when I read the publication, you guys are really strong in tech, wine, beer, and you have your commercial real estate and legal columns. Have you thought about perhaps adding additional columns to cover other industries like marketing, advertising, and communications, or nonprofit sector?
We have thought about, and we're actually thinking about some sectors. Healthcare is a sector that we like that comes over into the nonprofit world. We've thought a little bit about energy and environment, because energy and environment are big, huge issues here. We've thought a little bit about trying to capture the startup culture. We do a lot of work in the nonprofit space. We have at the end, well, we have an annual giving guide, which is an advertorial product, but if you pick up the right newspaper, you'll see it. It's an advertorial product, but it allows nonprofits to showcase themselves. At the end of the year, we do a who's who in nonprofits and foundations. And if you have nominations for that, we'd love it. A lot of our healthcare-oriented reporting is in the nonprofit space. And in our innovation awards, we're going to have a breakout or breakthrough innovator in social business or philanthropy. So we do pay a lot of attention to that sector, and would love to do more.
From a breaking news standpoint, or trends, and I think you guys do an excellent job with tech and covering the startup culture.
Right.
And that's one of the first things I read is that feature on page 3 where you're usually profiling a startup business.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you. I thought our coverage of Ventura County Community Foundation was pretty good. But I think to know that we can do more is great. We do provide about, and I always hesitate to say this because I always get pitched for more, but we do provide about between $250,000 and $300,000 worth a year of sponsorship advertising for which we don't actually get paid to support the nonprofit sector. A lot of it is economic forecasts or Cal Lutheran corporate leaders breakfast type stuff, but it's still, we think it really counts and helps to build community. So, another question. Amy.
News Hawk has been up and coming in Santa Barbara County, kind of taking over what Santa Barbara Press left off. So is it competition with them, or is it that different?
Well, anybody that's out there with news product in the marketplace is kind of a competitor. I think, they've been around before with efforts to compete against the news press. The first time didn't work out too well. Newshawk, if they can make it on what they can get out of digital, God love them. But I'm not sure how much revenue there is there. And if they start to move into mobile, then it goes down even more. So it's tough to compete. They're kind of like a version of AOL Patch, and we'll see just how far it goes.
Sure.
We've got two universities, Cal Loop here and Cal State Channel Islands here, Martin folks here. Is there anything you are not getting enough of from the universities? Anything you'd like to see more of? I really like that you're going to be doing the Central Coast awards for students from universities. That's great. What would you like, when it comes to your universities, what would you like us to get? What would you like to see more of?
I think we do well. I think, I think there's an opportunity maybe to, I think Cal Lutheran has done a really good job of branding itself and getting the word out. Cal State Channel Islands, which I am close to, I think with the new president coming on, with their MBA program growing a bit, I think there's an opportunity for them to talk a little bit more about what they're doing. And we're really looking forward to the connecting on the Innovation Awards and startups, because I think there's a lot of stuff that's been going on at CSUCI kind of behind the scenes that would be great for us to write about a little bit more.
I have to expose it all.
Right, okay, great.
Call me anytime. Yeah.
Okay, no, I think Nancy's done a good job. I think the university itself wishes it hadn't gone through the whole budget crisis. So you got to put that in the rearview mirror and move forward. Another question? Comments? Thank you all very much. Oh,
Okay, so this is for this free subscription.
okay. I'm going to mix them up
All
here.
right, you do that.
Jenny Guy. All right.
Great.
Thank you.
And here's for lunch next time. Can you draw one more?
Okay.
For lunch for next the next program.
Okay. Kitty Deal. I didn't have anything to do with it, but
Let's give Henry one more round of applause.
thank you very much. Thank you.